If you already run a franchise network, you will understand the importance of scaling without losing control of standards. You'll be desperate to drive profitability throughout your franchise network for your franchisees and of course for yourself as a franchisor. One of the key ways to ensure both of these objectives are met is looking at your franchise management system. And today I'm going to look at a specific bit of software called Claromentis. Hi, I'm Martin. I grew my own franchise network from a single site up to over 50 sites across the UK. I now help other franchisors scale their business and drive profitability throughout their network. Today, I'm going to review a franchise management solution called Claromentis. They're a British Franchise Association partner. They've been trading 25 years. They've got a large client base. They deal with clients large and small. So you'll start up franchise networks with 1, 2, 3 sites, all the way up to global players with hundreds, if not thousands of franchisees across the globe. So let me walk through what they do well and how this could work well for your business. Okay, so before I get into some specifics, let's have a quick look at the Claromentis dashboard. What you're seeing in front of you is a demo version. It's obviously in the Claromentis color scheme, but it is super simple to rebrand. So this really is very customizable. And at the heart of the Claromentis solution is a modular system. So you can bolt in whatever you need. You can move things around. It really is easy to use. I'll give you a quick demo of that actually in a moment. Also behind the scenes are all the different applications, so it is fully functional, and I doubt there'll be anything you require that it doesn't already have. So everything from digital assets, documents, policies, e-learning, onboarding quizzes, document managers, everything you need to scale your franchise. And of course, it also plugs into all the third-party solutions, so things like SharePoint, Office 365, Google Drive, whatever you might already be using to run your business and store your documents. You can integrate it or you can use it bespokely. Again, Claromentis is an online cloud solution, or it can be located on site, so there's dual function there. Also want to point out that in this particular demo, I'm not going to go through the permission-based system, which is crucial when you're running a franchise. Obviously, that's just to make sure that only certain people get access to certain documents, but that is built into the core of Claromentis. I just want to give you now a quick overview of how quick and easy it is to customize Claromentis, and I'm going to do that right now. So starting with the look feel, so you can literally change all the modules here. So you can make something more prominent by just dragging and dropping. You can move elements, so we're adding these buttons just under that slider. I can maybe customize something in there as well. So let's just click on the buttons. Let's add another bit of functionality. Let's add the brand assets in. Let's add those in, for example. So if I want to make those more prominent for our franchisees when they log in, you can just simply click that, and with the touch of a button, the brand assets can appear in the main navigation menu of the site. So it really is so easy to customize. If you want to get rid of content, it's literal click to delete. If you want to add back in again, you can add it. So from our point of view, I don't think we've seen a system that's as good as this. Of all the systems we reviewed so far, it really is the most modular. So that really is a great start. So let's have a look at some of the different applications now. Okay, so let's look at the communication side of Claromentis. This is really important if you're running a franchise network to make sure your franchisees have understood the latest communications. So starting with the basics, obviously you guys might have blogs. Most do. They'll be on your website, but you'll be also updating your social media all the time, but you can't guarantee that your franchisees have read that information, and often they haven't as they're too busy running their own businesses. So Claromentis gets around this by integrating with your existing feeds, or you can build your own blogs within Claromentis. You can also make sure that your franchise network have received certain core information by sending out communication that has got accept policies on them. So you can send out a notification if you've got a new particular policy, or there's a certain way of doing things, or if there's something that needs to be read, you can send out a read receipt where they have to read the information and confirm they've read it and understood it. So that's not with every bit of communication you send out, but it's really useful to know that the system can cater for that and track that people have opted in and the people obviously that haven't responded. So this obviously saves you loads of time wondering whether people have read it, not phoning around, sending out emails. But obviously from a more general communication point of view, there's all sorts of other functionality like discussion threads. So for example, if you are running Slack groups now, and lots of franchise networks use them, or you've got certain projects on the go, you can use the functionality within Claromentis to manage that and track communication. So it's just a really great way. You can set up permissions for who accesses what and keep communications in one central place. That's really, really useful. And I suppose on a smaller level, there's polls and surveys, again, built in. So if you've got a particular new product line for your franchise, you could send a survey out to gauge feedback on how successful they thought that was. It can pop up on the dashboard when franchisees log in, and it can send them an email as a communication confirming they've read it and understood it or took part in the survey, and it automatically tracks everything. So that's a really useful communication tool. So I think generally Claromentis covers all the bases and does it really well. So let's have a little look at compliance. It's the absolute foundation of any successful franchise network. You need to ensure your franchisees are complying to your operations manual and your standard operating procedures. How do you track this in Claromentis? Well, it's built in. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's at the heart of Claromentis' permission-based system. So you set up all the permissions to all your documents, and then you set up your training so you make sure that certain processes are adhered to, and that is all tracked within your policy manager. So once you've got your system set up and your training, you can make sure your franchisees are completely compliant and doing things in accordance to the operations manual. So if I just click into, for example, a policy here called audit procedures, obviously you can have any policies you like in yours. This would explain a particular policy, and again, you can track it from a franchisor point of view, whether people have downloaded it, whether they've understood it. Obviously, they can click a tick box here. You could update this policy anytime. You can see who's been approved, who's accepted it, and track all of that within Claromentis itself. And again, because it's permission-based, your franchisees would just be able to read and accept it, and you get to see the full functionality in the reporting. So this keeps everything tight in your business and to make sure that everyone is compliant. Okay, so let's look at brand control. This is another core bit of functionality that every franchisor wants to ensure is in place in their network. You don't want franchisees using outdated brand assets. You also don't want them creating their own assets that are potentially off brand, and you need to be able to control that. And Claromentis does this brilliantly well. So within the platform, there is a digital assets section. You can see it here, and you can load this up with everything. So it can include all your print assets, all your branding, your logos, your stationery, anything you like. And obviously the whole video and photo library. So if we just click in logos and in branding here, you can see that there's various different options. And obviously you set that up when you set the system up. It gives you full control of everything for sizes, formats, anything you like. So if I just click on this particular logo, you can see there's 3 different versions here, different sizes, and the franchisee can download that. It's instantly available for them to download whenever they need to. So rather than emailing head office or calling them up, asking for a particular logo or something to put on social media, it's all available at their fingertips. And from your point of view, you can update this your side across the whole network with a click of a button. And again, you can then follow up certain communications. So you can send out a notification through the system, or it could pop up on the homepage alerting people that there's now a new logo in the business. And this is the new way forward. And these are the new brand guidelines. So this is really critical for any franchisor to make sure your brand is fully protected, making sure your franchisees have access to everything they need quickly. And this system does it really well. Now, Claromentis is launching something called organizations that's worth mentioning. So the system already has many different apps built into it, but the organizational app feature sounds fantastic. The concept behind it is that each of your franchisees become an independent profile where you can track their operational efficiency. So you can track how they're doing operationally, their financials, whether they're compliant with their processes, whether they completed training, and you can then compare your different franchisees and identify the ones that need support, which ones that are excelling and the ones that are falling behind. So if you're managing multiple sites without this visibility into who's doing what, this is a really useful feature that addresses that gap. But it hasn't launched yet, so I can't review it properly, but the concept is sound and I look forward to that. Now, what to consider before committing to this platform? Well, firstly, setup requires effort. Someone is going to need to configure this properly. They're going to need to build your processes, set up permissions, set up your content, your structure. So if you don't have that technical capability internally, you're going to need implementation support. Secondly, and something that every franchisor faces, is your franchisees need to actually use it. So if your network isn't particularly tech savvy, there's going to be a change management component to this if you want to implement it in your network. And thirdly, if you're only running 3 or 4 sites at the moment and everything's working smoothly, this might be more than you need. The real value in a system like this comes from scale. And obviously, as you scale, things become more complex. Things need to be tracked in more detail. And this is where this system really stands out. So that's something to bear in mind. It really does depend where you are in your franchising journey. Right, so my honest assessment, I think Claromentis is a brilliant platform. So if you're at the point where operational efficiency genuinely matters, where inconsistency is costing you money and you're spending too much time answering repetitive support questions, this addresses those problems systematically. Your customization flexibility is genuinely brilliant. The permissions control and compliance tracking is robust. I've seen it work well for clients who need exactly this kind of structured approach. Is it the only option? No. Should you look at alternatives? Absolutely. I'll be reviewing others over time, but if you are serious about operational efficiency at scale, Claromentis is worth serious consideration. So if this sounds like your situation, arrange a demo with them. They'll be more than happy to speak to you, or have a conversation about your specific requirements with us. We can give you a comparison between this solution and others that are out there at the moment. I'll be also reviewing other platforms over the forthcoming months. So subscribe if you want honest assessments of what actually works. Thank you for watching.